The first time I was taught how to sew, my grandmother taught me when I visited her house on the weekend, and she taught me the basics of the machine, basic stitches, but that was the first time I learned how to sew, and then I just continued to practice it on my own, just on my own time. I did the children's business fair where I sewed pillows, and that was the first time I created like a small business out of it. It was just pillows, but that was the first time I actually sold anything I had made. And then I would just take summer classes, just to learn more like basics of how to sew pants, blouses. And then in high school, I used some of the prints that I had made with watercolors and oil pastels and created garments out of that. And then I got to college and started actually learning the basics of sewing and falling in love with that whole process. My collection was called New Nobility, and that name came about at the very end, but basically I'm very inspired by fine art. Obviously, I make a lot of prints. I like to actually work with certain materials, but that collection was really important for me to focus on the fabrics that I picked. That was a huge thing for me. It was the first time I could really like in-depth study fabrics and how you pair them together and how you work with like a street style concept but use really elegant fabrics that are, really hard to work with. Some of them were really hard to work with for me, but I wanted to push myself and create something that was a blend of a lot of different concepts because I'm definitely not a super straightforward person, and I knew my collection would not be like that, but I knew I was highly influenced by music and fine art. Just seeing multiple of my designs walking at the same time with the music, the marketing of it, the branding of it, everything coming together, and seeing people's reactions to my collection, and finally just getting to see my whole concept really come to life. That was the first time I really got to see that. Apparel design is such a unique major because you actually have physical objects that you can look at and see different phases of life, different characteristics of your life. I don't know, I just think it's a really important thing for people who are interested in pursuing that major. I think it's a really cool thing to do. Power and confidence is sometimes comes off as a negative thing or a narcissistic thing. That's something that is not true, and that's what I want to work to like change people's mindsets of, because I think you can absolutely be powerful. Some of the most powerful people are the most loved people, but it's because they also know that they need to be humble about things. So I want my garments to communicate that, but I also want my customers and the people that love my brand to also believe that, and not just about themselves, but about other people. And so it cultivates just a positive environment, which fashion can be, but I think there's definitely some work to be done. So that's what I hope to do in the future with my brand.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.